Welcome back to Bazooka Kickboxing and MMA. In today's episode, we're talking about different ways to throw your lead switch kick. Just like any strike, there is variations, changing the angles, the speed, the power. So in today's video, I'm going to give you 5 different variations to your traditional switch kick.
Bazooka Joe Valtellini.
Before we get into the different variations of switch kicks, it's important to know your classical, your textbook way of throwing the switch kick. So let's clean that up first before we get into our different variations. So to talk about this kick, I'm going to put a line through center line because the biggest mistake people make when throwing their switch kick is my plant foot goes to the left of the center line. So if I'm kicking this way, you can see I have a bent hip and the power is going this way. So the line on the floor helps you get your plant foot in the direction you're kicking. So if I'm kicking with my left side, you can see I step to the other side of the line. This way my hip can get into the kick and the weight is more powerful. So once again, I'm stepping to the direction I'm kicking in order to get most power. And that's the full switch. Now let's talk about the footwork in that switch. My plant foot has to stay on that center line or slightly out. It goes in a straight line. While at the same time, my lead foot is making what I call a half moon. So straight versus half moon. And this will give me that switch and the power to lengthen my stance. So the switch helps me lengthen the stance to get more power in my left kick. Boom. Now you're going to see my shoulder position, because a big mistake people make when throwing this kick is they turn their lead shoulder and put it behind them. So when they switch, they come here. Now I have to kick the other way. It's too slow and I'm not defending my center line. So the key is foot stays on center line as well as the shoulder. Boom. So now you can see I can defend punches as they come. Bang. And this way I get that nice snap and rotation in my hip. The last key I want to make sure we do is getting on our calf of our plant foot. That's going to help me get the power going towards the target. A mistake people make is when they switch, they're on that heel. It gets really heavy and you don't have that spring in the calf. So make sure shoulder, plant foot's in line, as well as being on the foot, okay, on the calf of the plant foot. The first variation is the half switch, and you're going to realize this kick is very quick, but you do lose a little bit of power. So it's the same mechanics as you would in the full switch, but this time the switch is half of the distance. So now instead of switching all the way here to get maximum power, the switch is going half of the way. Why I call it the half switch. This way, you might give up a little bit power, but you're getting speed. So this one here is what I like to do when I attack the liver. So it's a little bit faster. So here, boom, I could attack nice and fast. Bang. So I'm gonna show you the difference between my traditional switch, nice and long, more powerful. Now the half switch, boom. I like this one, especially when I'm countering punches, because it doesn't take me too long to be able to counter. Nice and fast. Boom. Boom. The second variation to your lead switch kick is what I call the step out. You don't have to switch your stance, but you're slightly stepping off center line to get a spring motion to be able to get the power. So what you're going to see, if my foot's on center line, I step out, and this lets me push off to be able to kick and get power the other direction. So 1 and 2. It's a little bit faster and you get a little bit less power, but it's sneaky. This is what I like to do when I want to attack the inside leg. Boom. And its key is keeping that shoulder in front. So you can't see what my feet are doing because my shoulder's staying in front. If I square myself when I do this, I eat the punch. But if I stay nice and narrow with my defense, I could attack with my lead side without my opponent seeing it. The benefit of that is if I want to counter with my right hand after, I have a nice angle. Boom, and I could step with good power. All right, from this angle, step out, get the launch, and I could attack quickly after. So the step out could be big or small. It can be quick, or I can get a little bit more distance. And with this one, it's nice because you can go to the body or the inside leg fast and without your opponent seeing it. The third variation to our lead switch kick is actually not using a step at all. You're going to be able to lift that lead leg, snap it, or attack the leg without having a switch. So it masks the technique a lot better. There's 2 ways to throw this. You can throw it more like a traditional martial artist, which is a snap kick. So I can lift from a chamber, attack, and come back down. So weight goes on the back leg, I snap and come back down. So the power isn't coming from the footwork, it's coming from the extension of the knee. That's gonna give you that snapping power. Bang. Okay, so you don't see me lift at all. You'll see a little bit more karate, taekwondo fighters use this technique a lot more. Now, one I like to use this is with a right shoulder feint. As I load my right shoulder, it lets me attack with a little bit more dig and power, especially when I'm going to the low kicks. Attack and then swipe that leg on the inside. Boom. I can use it as well to attack the body. So boom, boom. Those are the two different ways you can use the no step. The fourth variation is being able to block and then counter with your lead switch kick. A lot of times when someone attacks with a right low kick or a right body kick, you want to be able to block with your legs and counter right back with that switch kick. So one of the best counters you can have versus a right low kick or a right body kick is countering with your switch kick. So as I block the right attack, I step right into a switch and attack. So when my foot returns from the block, it automatically goes into my switch. So block as this comes right back down into my switch. It's fast, it's quick, and good power behind it. One of my favorites is blocking and then quickly chopping on the inside leg. Or you go right to the body, block, attack the liver off of that side. All right, and even when you do this block to left kick, you can go into a full switch if you want more power. If I block, I can get more power into that switch. Or what I can do is block into a half switch if I'm looking for more speed. So it all depends what your opponent's doing, how fast you want to counter with, and what you might want to follow up with. The fifth variation is one of my favorites. It's doubling up the left kick. So when you double up your switch kick, you want to make sure you play around with the different variations as well as the levels. That's the best way of attacking the inside leg and getting to the liver. So this fifth variation works well with level changes as well as mixing the different variations. And it's a really important weapon because it helps you find your openings. Usually throwing your left kick in single is very easy to block. So by throwing in doubles and triples and changing levels with it, you'll find more success. And the beauty of the double kick is you can change the types of step you throw. I might throw a full switch into a half switch, no step into a step out. So play around with the different variations. One of my favorite setups is using a no step or a step out to hit the inside leg, and then I come into a switch to attack the body. So I'm mixing and matching the different variations. Why do I go inside here? Because it's safer for me. Throwing a left kick is dangerous in fights. If I'm switching and my shoulders are square, that's perfect for my opponent to drive some straight punches down the middle. So I always have to be defensive and worried about counter punches. So if I do the quick step out, I'm still in position, I know I landed it, now I could switch with a little bit more power and I know where my opponent is. It's almost like a feeling. You need to feel where your opponent is with that first kick and then counter with the second. For those who are more advanced, one of the beautiful things is starting with a head kick or a body kick, then going to the legs. Every time I throw double kicks or see people throw double kicks, it always happens where they go body to head or leg to head. Change it up. So I might be able to head into the body. And then even here, you can mix in the blocking into double kicks as well. Regardless of the variation you are throwing, you just have to remember, what are your feet doing as well as your shoulders? You have to make sure, one, you're defending punches properly, as well as creating openings to attack. So play around with the different variations, different setups, and level changes. There you have it, different ways to throw your lead switch kick. It's important to remember you have to mix up the different variations. Sometimes using your full traditional textbook round kick is too slow. Your opponent can see it, so you might have to switch it up, do the no step or the half step. Or sometimes you have to use different setups to attack different levels. So variation 5, mix levels, mix power, mix in the variations. So just like any strike, you have to be precise. You have to look for an opening, you have to create openings. One way isn't gonna land every time, so change it up.